Hello and welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Kimberly and Southwick.
I'm Colin Smith.
And I'm Ian Crawford.
And I'm May. Something here is pretty hot. Shults. And we're here talking Angel Season 3, Episode 21, Benediction.
So we
Tell us how you really feel, Ian.
I was like, what did I do to deserve more scenes of Holtz sitting down talking? Like, why is someone doing this to me?
This is the last of it.
It is.
My notes, I literally wrote, ugh, Holtz and Connor scenes are so boring.
Yes. Anyway, well, Colin, what'd you think revisiting this episode?
I actually enjoyed this episode a lot.
Yeah.
Revisiting it, definitely there is an energy drain when Holtz is on screen for sure. I'll give you that. But I think everything else in the episode really, really works well.
All right, May.
It's better than the previous episode. There are some interesting emotional beats in it. And
I do agree with that. Yeah.
It's not terrible, but it's not great. We're trying to do too much, and as seems to be the pattern with the end of this season, we're focusing too much on the wrong things and not enough on the right things. And Connor is just like, one of my notes is when he says, yeah, whatever, to Angel, and he's like giving him teenage son attitude. It's like, why does Connor talk like he's from this dimension? There's no way he learned the word whatever from Holtz. There's no way he learned that kind of rebellious teen attitude.
Like an 18th century.
Yes, exactly. He should be talking like Holtz, and he should have the same accent as Holtz. Why does he not have that same accent? Holtz was the only human in Quartoth with him. And I've talked about on here that I'm very good with suspension of disbelief, but this is just too much. It's too much to think, okay, he has an American accent. He acts like an American modern teenager, and not just in his actions, but in his vocabulary and vernacular, it does not track. It doesn't track at all. And it's very frustrating. And
it's annoying.
Yes.
Also that's a good point, Kim.
Like, we're attractive, dressed attractively, acted like someone I might be attracted to. I know he's a teenager and my attraction shouldn't matter here, but like he's just like,
as teens, as adults, we still have that taste, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Sure, like the kid that you're like worried about is gonna blow up the school. But I don't know. All I'm saying is all they needed to do was just make him cool in one way, and the whole Connor thing would just go over so much better for me. He's just really uncool, and I already hate that actor because I hate his character in Mad Men. I don't hate him as a person, as an actor. I just like
it is unfortunate because he is such a good actor, but
he plays very unlikable characters very well.
Unlikable.
Yeah. They just needed to make him cool, and they failed.
I will say this episode did give me little points when I was like, man, if they focused on this, I mean, like you said, May, they focus on the wrong things. If they did this with Connor, I would have liked it. There was a couple scenes when I was like, all right, we're not having him just be bratty and defiant about every single word Angel says. This is more enjoyable. This version is more enjoyable, but we only get that for 20 minutes of this episode. So the episode starts. I forgot how Connor and May, I feel like you both remember. I feel like both of you are better at remembering Angel. I forgot how boring a version this is of Buffy season 5, where every episode at the end is back to back to back to back to back.
And they don't do the previously on, which you and Philip and I talked about in our last episode, where it's just if you're doing a rewatch for a podcast where you're not necessarily watching every episode in order, you have to be wait, what happened in the last one? So I'm glad I was on the last episode.
I mean, I was there too, but I was wait a minute, how did that one end? I forget.
I literally clicked the screen because I thought Hulu just skipped it, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I don't know why there isn't one. So the only reason I noticed that is because I made a Fred in that orange shirt, because she wears it for like 5 episodes. I was like, great, that's the Fred I'm going to make for these images. So they are like panicking about what could have come through. We, the audience, know it was Holtz. I am curious. How did he get through if like they were in front of the portal, the like rip in the dimension the whole time?
Oh, because it knocked them out, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
It knocked Drew and Cordy out briefly.
Yeah,
Right.
they were guarding it, and they went to kiss, and then it hit them with lightning,
Right.
and they passed out, and that's when Holtz sauntered through, which we did not see, which would have been kind of fun to just watch his bitchy old ass walk through and be like, I'm back.
Yeah, I almost think if we're going to...
I would have been so disappointed, though, that he came back and it's just the two of them passed out, like Angel's not there to greet him. Or like...
Yeah, I feel like arguably he might not even remember who Cordelia is because he only saw her in passing earlier in the season.
And
He
now she
definitely
has a
wouldn't
new
know
haircut.
who Gru is. Yeah, she has a new haircut. Yeah. That would throw me off. That's how bad I am with faces. I'd be like, that's not a person I've met.
Ian and I used to be really good at remembering people, and they never remembered us. And now it's the total opposite. It's awesome.
Yeah, Kim used to have like, Kim would remember someone's birthday that she met like twice. She'd be like, oh, their birthday's this. And like was like an encyclopedia knowledge of anyone we'd ever encountered.
And they'd be like, who are you?
So Angel returns. They're kind of worried about Connor. I was thinking about this episode, and I mean later on too, but I wish we had done more with Fred and Connor. Like I feel like because Fred was like, had been gone for 5 years, and then within her first year back, you know, one of her friends has a baby, and the baby gets put into a hell dimension, kind of like she was, but it wasn't when she was a baby.
She's the only logical person in the room. Like,
yes.
I wrote that down for this first scene. Her line, okay, so he survived an unspeakable hell dimension. Who hasn't? Like, 1, she's funny, and 2, this is like a direct reference to the fact that she has this experience. Like, her saying, you can't just leave him alone in the streets of Los Angeles. They don't even know Holtz is back at this point. Right. And like, he's running around basically like those kids that come out of the woods that have, you know, been raised by snakes or whatever. Like, they don't.
I thought you were going to talk about like Amish kids when they're on Rumspringa.
Sure, that too, right? Like, they should be helping him, and she's the one that should know. And like, you know, Angel's like, he'll be fine. He's still my son, though. Like, shut up.
Yeah, I do think that's like for Angel, who yelled about, spent the last like 8 episodes yelling Connor, and then Connor's there and is like, peace, Dad. I don't know this dimension at all, but I'm gonna go out. And he's like, all right, be safe, honey.
He's all of a sudden like, oh, I'm going to respect your autonomy, even though you literally just tried to kill me.
And so they focus on what else, what other thing came out of the thing, and this cool little machine thing that Fred makes. Like, ugh, like, come on, guys, like, come on.
I do love Cordy finding a Geiger counter beautiful, though. It's very cute.
But I'm glad you all agree, because I was like, wait, but Fred is upset but correct. Like, Fred's the correct one, because I don't know how to I don't know, like, he doesn't know what cars are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems
in the final scene.
Yeah, like, so yeah, we get a glimpse of, I literally put, old man Holtz then.
Wait, but not before Connor says, I found some food in a metal box outside.
You have to destroy the vending machine.
Yes.
Do you know that, like, there's a large percentage of people who die from vending machine?
What?
Like trying to get shit out of a vending machine. Yeah, it's like falls on them. Mm-hmm. That's like a thing.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I read it in a magazine when I was in like the 8th grade. Speaking of the 8th grade, it's my thing today. But yeah.
So if you saw that happen to someone, would you walk up to them and say, much like Gunn, bro, you're hurt? All of Gunn's lines in this episode are such throwaway, like, oh, that's what a black guy would probably say lines. And I know we've talked about this before, but they really just did not know how to write for him. And it's so irritating.
Yeah.
So post credits, more Holtz stops the episode dead. He tells Connor that he now walks in Angel's world.
They point out that they've been gone for days, so they realize that it's only been days for everybody else. I guess that's important that we know that they know that, ?
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like it should be a little longer than, like, they make it seem like it's only been like 2 or 3 days. Like, Wesley's fully out of the hospital. Like, you just had your throat. Like, wouldn't that be a few days of recovery?
Listen, Wesley should have been dead. I feel like there's no days of recovery. That's like a full. She goes like all the way around.
Maybe Holtz is saying like it's only been days, but maybe it's been a few weeks. He's just saying compared to the amount of time they spent in Quartoth,
fair.
It's only days rather than 16, 17 years.
That's true.
And even just skipping ahead a little in the episode, like if it's only been a few days, like girl Justine, pull yourself together because he's literally been gone for a weekend if this is the case.
Justine cannot pull herself together. It's
her whole personality.
We know that. That's where she is. So at the hotel, we check picture in the gang, and at least a day has passed. At least, because they all changed their outfits, finally. That was literally Cordelia walks in, and I was like, wait, that's a new shirt. This is the next day. Like, that was my cue.
And she's got a slightly different hairstyle, which looks a lot better than...
Connor! I just called you Connor. Colin!
That's incredibly rude. It's Steven.
How fucking dare you?
I'm looking at the word Connor written 800 times in my notes, and I'm like, my friend with a CO name has got to be Connor. Right. Colin, yes, I agree. I was like, wait, it doesn't look that bad here. Like, I kind of like it. I still prefer.
She looks great in this episode. I didn't see the previous one in the past year or many. So yeah, no, she looks great.
The previous one was very much the like she's going to speak to Holtz's manager about this.
I think that I remember like hating her hair when she first cut it, but like I was surprised how much I liked it for this episode. So
and like I still prefer almost all of her other hairdos, but it just really like I was like, all right, we rag on this a lot, but it doesn't look that bad here.
It's very, like, I think maybe with the gift of hindsight being farther away from the early 2000s, it's very, the hair, the eyes and the hairstyle, very early 2000s. So.
Yes, it's very of the time. And she's like, she has such good hair, I feel like. Let that lion's mane flow, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's true.
So
they're back at the hotel and they're looking at the Geiger counter thing. Like, this very long scene where it doesn't need to be this long. The thing that we get out of it is like Fred is the new Wesley, right? Like that's what we're supposed to get out of it, right? Like she's doing the sciencey stuff and the researchy stuff.
Well, and also that Cordelia has grown. Like I said, her finding the Geiger counter beautiful is so cool as opposed to focusing on the pretty crystal.
Yeah.
And I guess we get that teensy bit of the Gru and Cordy drama developed in this scene as well.
Wait, what is it in this scene?
It's like he goes outside and leaves and doesn't come back to the end of the episode.
And he tells
he has a conversation with Lauren first.
Yeah.
Well, and he said, I wrote down, if a thing is meant to be, how can it be forced?
Yeah.
And I love this conversation that they have. It's so telling of Gru's underuse as a character and how smart and empathetic he is.
And I love that he starts it out talking about Connor and Angel, and then halfway through, Lauren's like, oh, that's not what we're talking about, though.
Right. Like, oh, aren't you sneaky with the subtext?
And then again, also another person from another dimension who's been living on Earth for the past X amount of time that they've totally underused.
Yeah. Yeah, Gru and Fred should be able to have like a support group with him. Even Cordelia, because she wasn't there nearly as long, but she still was there. Like, I feel like these are three characters that Angel, even like hysterical father Angel, I feel like should be like, oh, I have three people living in my hotel that had a similar experience. Why don't I have them talk?
I also know that he doesn't want to hear it from Angel, but Angel spent like, how long was it supposed to be between season 2 and 3 that he was in the Hell Dimension in Buffy?
200 years?
Yeah. God. So like, does he ever even mention that to Connor? I don't think he does.
I don't think so.
They were like, it's not important.
Because then he'd have to admit that he was evil, and that's why he was sent to a Hell Dimension.
And then people would be like, aha, Wesley did have a reason.
Exactly, Wesley's never wrong.
Colin, I have to tell you, Joe Hill, who does a lot of the figureheads, he did the Connor head, he did the Cordelia head, was like ragging on us, me and you, for being wrong. It was like, Wesley wasn't the wrong. I was like, but... but I didn't understand what he was talking about, but it was funny.
Once he watches this episode of Meets, well, I guess last episode of Meets Connor, Wesley was right to send him away.
No, he knows the show pretty well, but yeah, I was like, well, but I do whatever. Hi, Joe. then Cordy and Angel have a heart-to-heart, and I feel like they definitely do this on purpose, but like these scenes are really good. These are the characters that are interesting when they're just sitting talking. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of the other Angel characters really can carry a scene the way Charisma Carpenter can, of like, we're sitting and talking. Her acting in it is so good. She does the like sweet, concerned voice where she's like, I know I'm not going to undercut this with a joke. Like, I know this is like super serious.
Which is growth for her, because at the start of this season when he was mourning Buffy, she was joking through that.
Yeah, So I know there's like, I feel like people are torn on Angel and Cordelia. There is a set of people who feel like they operated well as best friends, and I don't disagree with that. But I think scenes like this, for me, push it to, but you, like, they are, like, for me, it's like, they are best friends first. Like, I do agree with that. But for me, like, a scene like this is like, all right, but
it's
best
an
friends,
earned relationship.
Yeah, I really do.
Just like, oh, they're soulmates, they're going to be together.
Yeah. I really think it's earned. And I'm going to ask the class. Yeah, Colin. So you think it's earned? Kim, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's earned. I think I wrote something down that I wanted to talk about during this conversation. Like, just like she even makes his acting better.
Yes.
Like his like face, like towards the end of this, like is like your sort of like perfect, like he's just so upset, right? And it's this like very like emo man, like during this time period, just like the way he's able to like relax and emote in front of her.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's their attraction is so obvious that they don't even know it, and a dude from another dimension does. So how can we as poor viewers of the television show deny it? Like,
May, what do you think?
Oh yeah, you and I have talked about how much we love Cordy and Angel as a couple and how earned it is, and this is definitely one of those conversations that they have where you really see how in touch they are with each other, how in tune they are with each other, and why this relationship feels like a natural progression rather than like, let's just shove these two characters together romantically and see what happens.
Because I was trying to think of other shows where they've earned a romance. So the way Cordelia and Angel's romance is earned, and I really, really can't think of one, because I feel like a lot of other shows would be like, tell you up front, even if they're not together, oh, these characters are attracted to each other. But we never got that with Cordelia and Angel, and that's what I love about it. That there was never, she would make fun of him for being like pretty and like whatever, like she would make fun of his style. But she never was like, oof. Like, I feel like season like 2 of Buffy, when it was like she would do it just to piss off Buffy, but I don't think
like when she first sees him that first time, she's like, oh, he's hot. But then once him and Buffy are together, she's like, well,
and I feel like the only time she like hits on Angel are literally to piss off Buffy. Like she doesn't really care. No. She can take him or leave him.
So right, he's a good vampire.
When she's like, oh, good. Wait, what? When they tell her he's a vampire. So I just like, even like Jim and Pam on The Office, right? That's like seasons long, but there's always, the audience knows that these are characters. Yeah, like
the writers knew.
Yeah. You knew it was going to happen. And now I feel like, I kind of tire of those type of slow burns when they're on a show. I'm like, either have them get together or don't. Like, I don't need this.
One that I can think of that like, when the characters are introduced or like first together is not at all on anyone's radar, but the writers do it so well, but you don't actually ever see the relationship, is Sawyer and Juliet on Lost, because it's the time cut and they're together, but their acting is so good together that it's just like, oh, you were meant to be together. But before that, they're never.
I think at first I didn't like them together, and then it was like, no, wait, they work. I feel like I had to be sold on it, but then I was sold on it. Because I love Juliet. I mean, Colin, I know you do, but Juliet is like...
It's the only reason I brought it up. So I can talk about Juliet.
Juliet is my fave. She's the best Lost character, and it is wild that she's not there from the beginning.
She's there from she's like... Her character in season 3 is why I started watching Lost. When we used to watch Lost, we used to watch Lost at Ian's house, and I'd never seen it before, but I was like home for the summer or whatever from college. and I would just show up at their Lost watch parties, and I would just make shit up. And I'd be like, oh, this is because this is what's happening. And Ian, look at the face. He'd be like, Kim doesn't even watch this show. But anyway, so.
But I didn't realize Juliet was what got you hooked.
Yeah, no, I loved her little arc. There was a whole thing, like there's like pregnancy stuff happening where like babies weren't being born or something on the island, ?
Yeah.
And I just really liked that arc. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So I went back and watched the whole thing like that school year and came back for the next summer. And like, actually, I remember watching the finale at your house. We don't have to talk about that. Let's please not. Oh, talk about debates.
Moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, Lost.
All right,
good
back
show.
Anyway.
to Angel and Cordy.
Yes. So we get this, and like she tells Angel Connor will come back.
He has to come back because he's family, and then we cut to Wes.
Yeah, Wesley.
I don't know. I put IDK, Cordy, Wesley.
Yeah, it was a dumb line. It was a dumb line to end on. They wanted it to be dramatic, and we were just like, shut up. But yes, the acting is good, even if the writing is bad. Right. And yes, we go to Wesley on that very 1990s computer.
Yeah. It's like an Excel sheet that he has open that he's getting this message on. Like, what is that?
It's like how your dad
wrote down because I wasn't sure if it was a messenger or an email, but my note is that how email worked? Question mark. It's like it just appears on the screen.
I like don't remember.
No, like who sent it, even as a messenger. Like there was no contact. It was just a.
But I guess it's like he knows. He probably knows it's Lila, right? Like that's probably.
I guess he knows it's full from heart.
Yeah,
I didn't think he did when they met at the club necessarily, but
true. I don't know.
He seemed surprised. May, what do you think?
he didn't know it was from Lila. He thought it was just an anonymous tip because when she walks up with her martini and her very open button up,
she's ready for a night on the town.
Oh yeah. No, she so clearly wants to hate fuck Wesley, and I hate how long it takes for that to happen.
I love it.
but
the
like
scenes
talk
of them
about
together in this episode just make my heart sing.
Talk about a relationship that is earned and the work they put into building up the two of them getting to that point. I hate that it takes so long because I love their like post-sex banter and stuff, but yeah, this lead up to it is kind of fun.
I'm curious what I will think this time around because I did not like them together when I watched.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that they got together until y'all just said it here. So
this version of Wesley, I don't love. I'm not gonna lie, I don't love this like quiet, slow talking, brooding Wesley. I'm like, no, we already got that from Angel. I don't need that from you.
He just got his throat split, Ian.
But like
he's basically dead.
But he should be dead. He would have died.
But he's also vocal cords real quick and see how loudly you talk.
But he's also up there like Giles at the Bronze, just looking down on all the people partying. Like, yes, I'm an old man, even though he's like 30.
Yeah, maybe 30.
And everyone else in the club is the same age.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like,
except Connor. How the hell did they let him in there? But we're not even at the club yet. Anyway, sorry.
Kim, I don't think Angel or Connor have ID. Angel definitely does not have a real ID.
I feel like Cordy or Wes hooked him up. Like when they were
fair.
3,000 years old.
But what I was gonna say is, now I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn it. But Wes surviving just feels very Scream 6 to me. I'm like, oh, a fatal wound, and the person's like snappy and like dancing the next scene. I know he was in the hospital for a little bit. Anyway, but we're not even there yet.
We're not there yet, folks.
And we have to talk about this.
Backing
this
up,
vision.
They got the Geiger counter going.
And I do think it's cute. She's like, beep, 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 beep. Oh, Angel's son.
My thing is, how long was he stood there that none of them noticed him walking?
And no one else. Yeah, none of them were looking down.
And then they all just stand there. Yeah. And it's real awkward. And I don't know if this is good writing or bad. I couldn't figure it out.
I think this is good because I think it's like supposed to be like how awkward they everyone, Connor included, also probably feels awkward. I think Cordelia's like, all right, why don't we leave you all alone? As Angel and Connor are talking, she gets a vision, and I was charmed by her having to yell because
she's in the club.
In the club.
In the club, we can't hear shit.
Yeah, no.
I do love the way they've changed how her visions work.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
I was thinking about that and I was like, man, of course, when they course correct her superpower, so it's not like hurting the one woman who has powers every time she uses her power, then they like get rid of her.
Yeah.
Because no one yell at me. Someone's going to yell at me. Maybe not here, but in their comments. That is why, when I was younger, I did not like Jean Grey in X-Men because it was always, oh, she's so powerful, but she can't.
Sharps are coming for you.
I know. There's going to be one person in particular who has a Jean Grey icon who is always mad at us commenting on YouTube that is definitely commenting on this.
Not to go on an X-Men tangent, and I feel like a lot of the X-Men have powers that do hurt them. It's not just Jean. Yeah. Wolverine feels pain every time his claws come out. Rogue can't be close to people the way she wants to because her power hurts them. It's like, that's what the whole thing is. It's like they have to balance these powers that they have with their interpersonal relationships and with their own suffering.
But like with Jean, it was like literally I don't know. It was just like world ending, uncontrollable.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Women be crazy, Ian.
Right. And like, I don't know. But I do like her now. I think they've done a lot of like good work on their comics and like in the media. She was great in X-Men 97. But yeah, in the comics that used to bother me with her and Scarlet Witch both when I was younger, I'd be like, I don't even think I framed it as like sexism or anything. I just framed it as like, I want them to either be able to use their powers in cool ways or not have them. Like, was how like kid Ian felt. Anyway, back to Angel. I am charmed when he says there's going to be a lot of violence. Want to come?
And these are the Connor moments that I like in this, when he actually is kind of like trying, he's acting or whatever, trying to fake it with Angel, but like he's trying to connect with Angel, and like, and he's like, oh, well, I got to run. He's like, oh, well, run off again, deadbeat dad.
It's like this run of like 10 minutes in the episode are the most I like Connor and Angel together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this whole bit from like the moment Cordy has her vision up until like they leave the club is just...
Yeah, because he's trying to pretend to like him, but then I think he actually kind of does.
Yes,
he does, and that's the point that...
Yeah,
Holtz picks
once
up on
we
that.
get to it, Holtz points out, but
yeah.
First they go to the club, which, just speaking of her vision, I do like that it's not clear right away that it's Justine that's in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Has Cordy met Justine? Like, she's back onto her in the vision anyways, but like if she was turned around, would she have
I don't think
known?
she did, no.
I didn't think she had.
So yeah,
I think she knows who Justine is, but I don't think she knows what she looks
She's never
like.
met.
Yeah.
They've never crossed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Holtz doesn't get Justine till after Darla gives birth, and I don't think Cordelia ever encounters Holtz after. Like, I think she
goes
only
on vacation. So.
Yeah, so I think it's like at that, and then we get a lot of Holtz and Justine sitting at the table talking. So like, I don't think they even share scenes, but yeah, I do like that. I kind of like how everything comes together here, where like. Then Wesley's on the balcony, and then it's Lila, and Lila set it up, and
I was going to
say, I like that Lila's like, well, I'm a friend, so I'm gonna have her killed for you.
Yeah, and then but really is testing him, and then it's like fine, like I'll let her live, because you're not gonna warn her, like that whole thing. But like she's using this as like an experiment to see how Wesley is going to react. Well, it kind of backfires a little, but not really. She's not like she has to change course, or she doesn't care. Guy.
Yeah. I feel like Lila in this scenario is kind of like, anyway, it's fine. I don't fucking care. Like,
Lila she's doing it just to flirt with Wesley.
And I do love when she's like, if you leave now, you're going to miss her big death scene. Like, Lila's so good.
I also like how like, she says, oh, now you're going to be watching or something like that. Or like now it's going to be entertaining. And then he's gone. Like I thought that was good writing there.
When the fight begins, because when she's like, okay, fine. Like I'll make sure she doesn't die. Like I've already figured out from you what I want. And then he turns around and he's like, I don't think you're going to need to do anything, because he sees Angel.
Yeah. And I'm charmed. I wish we got more of this. I'm charmed by Angel going, nice, when he sees Connor like leap across the bar and like knock out the one bartender. Yeah. Like, I like that.
Well, and I like when Wesley and Lila realize who Connor is.
Yes.
Because of the way he's moving.
Like, he's fighting with his father, and even Justine, like when she sees them.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was surprised that Wesley told Lila.
I mean, I think he just doesn't care at this point.
I think he just doesn't care at this point.
Yeah.
And there's also the fact that, I mean, obviously he literally just yesterday, I guess, because of the time frame of what's happened the last few episodes, just told Gunn to not make sure no one bothers me. Yeah. No one talks to me. And now he sees that Connor's back and it's like, well, I just went through all this 3 days ago and what did it mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, and I like seeing them fight together. I wish they would have gone anywhere else with the Connor plot. Something like this. I feel like Connor could have been a fun character if we had done this kind of thing with him. Yeah. I still probably wouldn't have wanted him as in the title credits main character, but it's a sometimes son character that I also think they should have just made him older because he does not look 16, but also it would have been less of a problem if he was at least 20. So they could be well, yes, he is old enough to do X, Y, and Z legally. So,
well, yes, I mean, let's hope he's old enough for certain things that happen next season.
Well, I don't think he is. Jesus Christ. So then they they win their fight. Angel does let Justine go. I like that they don't even talk, and Connor doesn't know who she is because he's never met her.
I do like that she clocks Angel, gets ready to leave, then the fight starts because the vampires, when they're like, oh, she thinks she's a Slayer.
Yeah. I was like, you're right, random vampire, now get her ass.
She does think that. But I do like that, before she leaves, she also puts together, who's this child fighting with Angel?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do, when he said she thinks she's a Slayer, I imagine him being a heavy for the mob or something hey, she thinks she's the Slayer.
That was a good mob voice.
Thank you.
God. So they defeat all the vampires and man, they go out into the alley and this is a good scene, right? This is
scene, yeah.
They're being playful and they're being hey, look at what we just did together. That was fun.
They're being also two excited dudes together and it's cute.
It's a dude's rock moment.
Yeah.
But I do like how Angel kind of attacks him and you can see that they're both dangerous and could be dangerous to each other. Even though they're having fun, even though they're playing, there's still that tension.
It's almost like dogs, right? You get two dogs. Yeah. I feel like that's how animals play.
How they react,
they're definitely playing, but also testing each other. And the show's kind of keeping us on our feet in terms of the tension between them.
Mm-hmm. And I think the show's also showing us that he can go toe to toe with Angel. He is as strong as him, just without the vampire bullshit of needing blood, daylight, blah blah blah.
Which I love how they just dialogue away. And Holtz is well, who knows what you are? And I'm just oh, okay, that's all we're going to get, huh?
Okay. That's it. A big who knows. And that's final label. And I do when we pan to Holtz, I'm the hotel is right there where he's staying. Holtz is on the balcony a widow waiting for her husband to come back from war. And he's just I see you. We go back to the hotel. Cordy is so proud. And I love that, again, we get another aspect of her power that I like, where she's oh yeah, I can watch because it's I think that's cool too. That she can and it makes sense. Sure. If we're gonna give her a superpower, sure, she can watch what the vision she had. Sure. So I do like that.
We do get the scene kind of right before that, a really brief one, where Connor's eating the Oreos. And he says, oh, he's not tricked by the demons, trickery or whatever. And something we haven't commented yet on is how religious he is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that was an important aspect, just playing up these people who my brain is not working currently enough to come up with the word that I'm thinking about, but people
zealots.
It's not just I know Christians who are just normal people who, voted for Harris, right? But these religious zealots who just kind of latch on to ideas and they don't push it too much, but it's mentioned, he mentions God and God's plan, Holtz does, and Connor is very against Angel because he's a demon, right? In this way, that's witchcraft. We can't read these books kind of thing. So that's interesting that he has, in the many years that he's been away, built up this sense of moral justice that comes from elsewhere. It doesn't come from inside him. He doesn't get to make the decision, right? God says demons are bad, so demons are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't remember. Is that something we touched upon earlier? Because I don't remember that at all, and I only noticed it in this episode. Like, does he talk about
for
like
Connor?
Just like in general? I like Holtz would have taught him this, right? So I don't remember
Holtz would have taught him this because Holtz was very black and white, demons good, or demons bad, people good. Because even when
Holtz wasn't religious, was he?
He was always kind of a man of God.
Yeah,
was he?
I think he's of that time period. That
I just didn't remember that when Connor says. I don't even remember what scene he says it in. Like, God put me here. I was like, that's weird to hear in a show like this. Like, we don't normally get that. Especially just said like casually religious, but just like in casual conversation. So that for me, that was just like hearing that line was like, I was like, oh, all right, sure.
And I mean, as Holtz points out, Connor is the bastard son of 2 demons himself. This is where we get that little backstory, right? Like, I don't know, like that puts him in a weird position. He does have like demon-y superpowers. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
But he's good because he's not a full demon.
Because he's saved, I guess.
Even though he technically would be.
Yeah, they don't get too deep into like the kind of Christianity it is, but like the way they're talking about like God and demons, like you'd assume it's like some very, super right and scary and everything that's bad is, everything bad is the different stuff, etc. kind of Christianity.
Which we're going to touch on that beat in like 2 other beats, but
I was going to say in like 2 scenes it comes up a lot.
Connor leaves the hotel and we get the really weird. Fred says like, we've been following Angel's son's like emissions, and Gunn says, hope that's a sentence I never have to hear again. I was like, what? And Lorne runs into Connor in the hotel lobby. And this is where we go back to that beat.
This is where he's very demon phobic.
I love that he basically misgenders Lorne to Cordy after he has been a total dick to Lorne. And I also love that Lorne gets to stand up for himself in this moment. Yes. He doesn't just walk away. He's like, okay, listen, you little bitch.
Yeah.
And puts him in his place. And I love that.
As he should.
Thank you, because that's literally what I was going to talk about, that I'm glad it's not just Lorne having to be like, oh, the poor kid doesn't know it. And he's like, what do you mean, you little prick? And like goes to literally say that. And I'm like, yes, stand up for yourself, this motherfucker. Like, who is he talking to Lorne like that?
And I will never forget that Lorne was like the sole caregiver to Connor when he was a baby. He was the only one watching him while everyone was out doing like,
going to the opera and the ballet.
Going to the opera.
Is the entire reason that Wolfram and Hart didn't get Connor in the first place. Because he figured out the whole sound system thing.
Yeah. It's like it, and I like that. I don't know. I like that because Lorne understandably would probably be even more hurt. I don't think Lorne would be that fazed by like a regular human just like being like, ew, a demon. Like, you'd probably be like, whatever.
It's because of who said it.
Yeah, this is like a child. This is a person whose diapers he changed that is now talking to him like he is disgusting. Yeah, and it was for a minute, I like wrote in my notes like, oh, this like heavy-handed homophobia metaphor, and then I was like, wait, Lorne set up for himself, so I like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And when Cordelia came in, I thought we were playing it as she didn't know what happened, and I was really glad we didn't. I was really glad she like sat him down to be like, hey, sweetheart. Lorne is not someone we talk to like that. It's not black or like I really appreciated, because a thing that Buffy didn't do as well, that one of the only things I would say Angel did better was showing us these gray areas. And like that's kind of what the show is about. It's like Buffy is about Buffy fighting demons. Sometimes she fucks one, but most of the time she fights them. And like, good for her. Sometimes. But this show like very much shows you like Lorne's bar. And like Lorne is a very good example of, I don't know, he just wants to sing and like wear bright colored outfits. Like let him be. So yeah, I do like that.
I also like how we get to see Cordy step into like a very motherly role here. Everything
which makes what happens
saying,
later even grosser.
Everything she's saying, everything she's doing, like, it's all super motherly. And that was Lauren's job. Like, while she was on vacation, not that she is Connor's mother, but, like, we can see her now, like, adopting that role, which makes sense with, like, the flitterings of the romance, right?
Right, yeah.
It makes sense that she would want to, considering where Connor's mother, that she doesn't exist anymore, like, you know.
And had things gone differently, she would have been the mother figure, because there's that scene at the end of one of the episodes where her and Angel are lying in bed together with Connor between them. Like, that's what she would have been to him.
I think that May and Kim were on for that episode, I think.
I think so? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I was on for... who knows? I don't remember.
So she tells Connor that she's part demon. She chose it. That's why she has superpowers. And he like jumps to kill her. This little shithead. I feel like Cordelia is so good with him. And I hate every time I say something about them. I'm like, oh, but season 4. I got emotional in this scene. I really liked that Cordelia is like this like powerful, peaceful being. That like, it's not like she needs to zap him. She just grabs him. She makes him feel loved. And she makes his weapon turn to dust. Like, there's no aggression on her part. And I really like the idea of, like, she is that powerful that she was able to stop this person from killing her, disintegrate his weapon, and kind of, like, help flush out a lot of the hate he had floating around in his head. Like, that's kind of beautiful, right?
Yeah, it happens kind of quickly for me that, like, because she doesn't even know she has this power.
Yeah.
And then she uses it, and then everyone's like, oh, she just got rid of his many, many years of trauma. And I'm like, did she, though? That seems like a kind of a
it
bit
felt
of
like a Band-Aid.
Yeah. I think it's more she calms his emotions and, like, he no longer feels
the way that they talked about it, though, it seemed like it was like, oh, now it's cured. And I just think they could have just toned it down a bit because...
Yeah, because I was like, but then, like, next season... He sure does still have all that trauma with him, like, and at the end of this season.
It's almost like, because they make the point of, like, she took the Kortoth out of him, and, like, Fred wouldn't be able to use her Geiger counter on him now, like, she'd get in it. So it's almost like they're, like, something else was, like, I guess, bringing that all to the surface, but the trauma definitely, and, like, what he went through definitely doesn't go away.
Yeah. But I thought it was, I just, it's such a bummer how much I love this Cordelia. This You're Welcome is absolutely her final form, but this is like getting to that. And this is like kind of also her final form because she's still like gorgeous. She's still a little snappy, but she like has all these newfound powers. And like, I don't know. I just like, it's such a bummer because this is cool. This is a version I would have loved a season of her. It's a shame we didn't get to explore it more. Yeah. It's also weird that it's like, we stress the fact that Cordelia is learning about her powers and it, in an episode, will never matter again. Like,
Well, it matters, just not. It doesn't.
We did skip a scene, which is where Gunn and Fred see Holtz at the hotel.
That's when they were following his emissions around, and then they.
That was got it.
Because I do like the fake out that they do a couple times where the Geiger counter seems to continuously point to Connor.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, well, like, we're obviously worked up over nothing. But then, yes, they do see Holtz.
I only thought we missed it because I love how they come in at the end of the scene and Gunn just, like, clears his throat. And we're like, uh-oh. Just thought it was, like, because we have this really nice moment. And, like, Cordy's getting her powers and Connor's calmed down. And then it's like, oh, wait, no, the episode's not over. There's still some drama that we're going to have to...
I do love, though, right before they walk in, though, Connor lets it loose that Holtz is back as well, so like it kind of undercuts them, but
he's almost basically like, yes, just an hour ago Holtz told, like, because he's like, Holtz told me that, and it's like, excuse me.
But then they come in and confirm it and kind of, I guess,
right.
Also go over the fact that Connor's been meeting with Holtz, like it's not just
Holtz. He hasn't been running around LA by himself, like Angel was content to let him do.
Yeah,
exactly.
Great parenting.
He's been hanging out with his dad.
And Angel wants to send Connor with Fred and Gunn. And like, the really, really, really could have been Fred talking to him about I feel like I don't understand why we didn't get that, because that makes sense that she does mention it, but she
does talk about it a little bit, but yeah, this seems like it could have been a much longer conversation between the two of them.
And it feels like, I mean, it's the writing, but like Connor could have been like, oh, wait, what? You were also in like a hell demon dimension? And like, even though he's bratty and like is has a reaction to everything these adults say, I feel like that could have been a cool thing where he's like, oh, what was yours like? And also we could have gotten more of Kortoth because I have no picture in my brain as to what Kortoth is supposed to look like because we called Pylea a hell dimension and just looked like a Xena the Warrior Princess set. Is Kortoth like that, or is Kortoth literally like sand and fire? You know, like
I mean, the little window we see into it before Holtz walks into there with baby Connor, it looks like fire and brimstone and like giant demons.
What even is brimstone?
But like, then my question is, how actually would they survive? Like, then I feel like there's no way they could have. Holtz is just a human. Like, Holtz is a very determined human who knows how to fight, knows how to shoot a weapon, but he didn't pack a bag. He just jumped through with no weapons and a baby in hand. Like, I feel like you're going to get eaten by a monster in 2 seconds.
Right. I don't think they really thought it through very well.
They had a lot of plot armor going in. It's fine.
They did.
Yeah. And it's like, when they reference Angel being in a hell dimension for 200 years, we don't know what it's like. We don't see even a glimpse of it. There aren't a bunch of people talking about like, oh, it's this specific dimension, which everyone knows is bad news. And I feel like they missed an opportunity to leave it a bit more vague and make it so Connor's personality and their survival in general would have been a little better explained and justified.
I agree. And then we get Cordy. I love Cordy saying, Angel, we got to do the thing. You know, the thing we always do. Because this is Cordy where she's like being sassy and jokey. And I like that. Because I also didn't know what she was talking about. I was like, wait, what is she getting at? And then once she was like, you know, we're going to do the thing where I tell you not to go alone and you still go alone. I was like, oh, fuck, I love you, Cordelia. Like, I really got a kick out of that. And I love that she got right to the point. She wasn't beating, she wasn't like dancing around it. She was like, I'm going to tell you this is bad and you're going to do it, but let's at least acknowledge that's going to happen.
And also her big point is like, don't lie to him.
Yes.
You know, you cannot build, especially if you're going to kill him or try to kill him or whatever, you're not going to be able to build a good relationship with this person you want to have a good relationship with if you lie to him.
If you're lying.
And imagine if he had just listened to her, we could have avoided a lot of problems.
So many things.
But that's, she even says, like, I don't care if you kill him. I
do like that.
You need
when
to
she's
have
like,
a conversation
no, kill him.
About this.
Yeah. And she's right. Like, she's never been more right. Like, I just am like, yeah, if you're going there to fight, like, if he had just said to Connor, hey, I care about you. Let's go talk to Holtz. Let's have a like weird family sit down between your
my
like
2 dads.
Yeah, like let's do that. Like that would have made more sense. I don't know.
Love how the women in this show are just 100% right, like from beginning to end, and nobody listens to them.
Yeah, we on Lady Killers sometimes we categorize movies as listen to women horror, and
I feel like that's most of them.
That's also Scream. Gail Weathers is always right from the start, and like everyone's like, "Oh, you're just mean," and she's like 100% correct every time.
Yeah, I mean, you can be a bitch and correct.
Yeah. 2 things can be true. Well, a thing I wish we could teach the internet.
Right?
So,
speaking of women that are right, we then cut to Justine and Holtz.
God.
You sure about that?
This scene is so boring. I put, oh good, a scene of Justine and Holtz talking. Just what I wanted.
And she puts back on her leather jacket because she didn't have that on at the bar.
She's 100% wrong. Also, it's like the opposite of all the other women. She says, hate gets a bad rep. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah. And even Holtz is like, well, love was actually what got me through. But I do...
Well, no, wait, is it Connor or Holtz that says my hate kept us alive?
He says hate kept us alive, and then towards the end of
Holtz
it, he's like, but that, something more powerful than hate. Like, because I found love.
Barf.
Yeah, especially for that child. Anyways. But this
and
is
now
the
he
scene,
needs vengeance. Because once you find love, clearly you need vengeance.
Exactly.
What
This is the scene, though, where I was like, okay, it feels like it should have been a longer time between when they left and when they came back. Because when she's like, oh, you know, I still feel like I could do anything for you if you asked, da 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 da. You saw him last weekend. Like, it's not like
he was much younger then.
16 years.
He was much younger then, though.
Also, the old man makeup is not working for me.
No,
it's like better makeup. Than at the end of the previous episode when we just see him briefly. It's like a little better in this, but it's still not very good. If they had made him like super scarred from surviving a hell dimension, right, it would have been more understandable, but they just made him look really old. And I think we talked about in the last episode, he was probably like 40 something.
Yeah.
and he was gone for 16 years and now he's like 90.
Yeah. And now
well,
he's
it was a hell dimension.
It was a hell dimension.
He's from a time period where life expectancy wasn't that.
Okay, but Connor is 16 and looks about 20.
Yeah. So, like, he should not be looking like he's about to turn to dust.
Marion.
He obviously caught something in Quartoth. Leave him alone.
Also,
I got that Quartoth syphilis.
They didn't have vaccines.
Question. Well, soon we're about to not either. Question for the class. Do we know why Holtz is able to stay alive so much? Like, is there a thing that's like, do we ever like, because like, I just don't understand how Holtz, I guess it was only 16 years, but they make him look like they make him look 800.
Right.
Because I kept thinking he was a lot older. And I'm like, but how is is he immortal? Like, what's going on?
They did not think a lot of this through
when
it came to this subplot.
Which is such a bummer, because it could have been really good, I think.
Yep. You know what would have been better is if Connor didn't show back up until the beginning of the next season. So we could have spent the end of this season exploring the end of Gru and Cordy and the beginning of Angel and Cordy.
Yeah.
And the dynamics of the group, dealing with the fallout from Wesley, all that stuff. And then you have the stinger at the very end of the season be Connor coming through the portal.
Saying, hi, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been so much more effective. And once again, we're rewriting the show to fix it.
It's weird. I say this is my favorite season of the show, but season 5, now going through season 3, I'm like, nope, season 5 is my favorite. This season's so weirdly unbalanced, because it's like the Darla stuff is so good, but we zoom through the Darla stuff. It's 3 episodes, and then we get like 85 episodes of Holtz and Justine talking. Like, God. And it's just, the pacing is so 85 weird.
Years old.
Yeah. The pacing is just so weird. And like, there's a lot of that. And like, I don't know. I don't care. And then, the Connor, he comes in and it feels like we're like sitting in the water waiting for the end of Angel and Cordelia realize they need to be together. But look, that will never happen. And it just feels like we're kind of like waiting for that. Like they had like to fill that in. Like they knew where they were ending, but they didn't know how to get there.
Way too many Shrouds of Vermont.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also, so when people are like adamant about we should bring back 22 episode seasons, I think Buffy is an example of why it works. And I think Angel is an example of why it does not always work. Because like this should have been less episodes. If we're going to have this much of like nothing, then like give me fewer episodes.
Yeah. I think several of the Star Trek series are also evidence of when it works. Next Gen and Deep Space Nine totally justified 22 episode seasons. Voyager, some of the seasons, yes. Some of the seasons, no.
Episodes per season. I will hear no more.
No, I'm a hardcore Voyager defender. I grew up with them being like my family, but then rewatching Deep Space as an adult, I have a giant tattoo of the Defiant on my thigh. So
Deep Space is the best, but I grew up with Enterprise. Yeah. I'm constantly like, Ian, when are we doing Deep Space Nine on Slayerfest? And he's like, shut up, Kim, we're never doing Deep Space Nine.
There are just too many episodes. How could we possibly do all the Star Trek series have so many episodes.
I mean, it's the same as Buffy. It's okay. So
how long did it take me to get through Buffy?
That's because you kept taking breaks.
We'll be 69 and we'll still be doing this, and Ian will be like, fine, for your 60th birthday, Kim, we'll do Deep Space Nine. And we'll be doing it until, like, we're dead.
Yeah, we would die before we finish the series at that point. Like, I will say,
did you hear that Ian promised for my 60th birthday that we're going to do Deep Space Nine?
You said those words.
You heard it, right?
Say those words.
No, you said them, Ian.
Jim, I think we were also supposed to get married if we were 40 and single. We didn't keep that promise either.
It was 30. It was 30,
was it 30?
And I was not single. We were going to dye our hair blue and get married.
God, that's what we thought was old when we were teens, 30.
Well, that's what we thought was like, oh, it would be sad if we weren't married by then, which is absolutely ludicrous.
God.
What was wrong with
You
us?
could do it for 50. You still got a few years.
There you go.
But anyway, I don't even remember what I was going to say. There was
the Shroud of Vermont. No, just kidding. We were talking about Juliet and Holtz being Juliet. Jesus. Now we're back on Lost. We're talking about Justine and Holtz being the worst.
If Juliet was in this, it would have made everything better. So they're together. She will do anything for him, and he says, okay, you only have to do one more thing for me, and then we cut to the beach.
Do we think does Justine just like a daddy figure, or does she want to fuck him? That's what I can never land on.
I know we talked about that in a previous episode, and I was going to bring it up again here, because it's like, I think she's in love with him in this really weird psychosexual way where she doesn't know if she wants to be with him or if she wants him as a father figure.
That's fair.
And that unfortunately speaks to the
in many such cases.
Yeah, there are a lot of women like that because of the way our society kind of weirdly focuses on the relationships between fathers and daughters and has that inherent psychosexual quality. So it makes sense, but again, it's not really explored very well, and it's something that keeps Justine's character from feeling fully fleshed out.
Yes.
So instead of it feeling like this deep character trait, it's just kind of like, all right, she's fucked up. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
It's like they're in love, but we're not sure what kind of love it is, and that's all we get.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we get the beach. I was like, why are Gunn and Fred talking like even remotely close to this teenager? Like,
well,
we know.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows that at the club, Connor was fighting just like Angel. So why would you not assume or infer that he also has other vampire-like powers, such as really good hearing?
If we know that, they should know that.
Correct.
Yeah. Well,
or at least just be careful fighting. In case. Sorry, Colin. Now that 3 people have interrupted you.
No. But I'm saying not even like fighting style, but like he punched or kicked Gunn at one point when he was fleeing the hotel in the last episode. Yeah. You know he's strong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously got something going on.
I actually did get nervous because I don't remember. I remember the end of the finale really well, but I don't remember anything leading up to it. I was like, oh no, is he going to beat them up? Like I really thought he was going to beat up Fred and Gunn because he could probably beat them up with like one hand at that point.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I was glad he didn't, but man, were they dumb for like, it was such a bad plot device. I think in my head, I was like putting the pieces together because I know Holtz dies. Like I knew that was the end of this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, is it just Connor goes to see Holtz at the exact moment that, but no, he runs to see him because of Angel, Fred and Gunn being dumb.
And they're not dumb. They're the smartest people in the group.
Right. They're smart.
Exactly. When he walks away after they have their little, hell dimension thing. And he does comment that like, I wasn't lost in my hell dimension. Like that's all he knew, which I think is kind of, right. They could have explored that a little fun, but
yeah.
Did we skip over Gru saying goodbye to Cordy?
Not yet.
No, that's the next scene.
He left with Lauren and no one has brought him up since. Because he specifically told Lauren, don't mention I'm gone until she asks.
After Connor runs, that's the scene, May. So
okay, got it.
Yeah.
I don't understand when Fred's like, oh, like, what do you think Angel's going to do when he finds Holtz? And Gunn's like, well, I know what I would do, but I don't know what Angel would do because he took his son. He literally tried to murder his best friend 3 days ago. What do you mean you don't know what he's going to do?
Pretty clear what he's going to do. So we get the Gru scene, but he doesn't, this is like cliffhangery because it's just And I do like the way they play it because, like, I feel like it's adding insult to Gru's injuries, right? Because it's like she thinks he's Angel and she's like, Angel, I'm so happy to see you. Imagine having that thought in your head where you're like, man, my partner does not like me that much. I think she likes her best friend. And then she mistakes you for that, like,
it
really drove it home.
Not caring you've been gone
the
entire day.
So, yeah, I do like that Gru's never made the bad guy in this situation. I really appreciate them. Like, he's just a sweet dude. And he's like, you don't love me. And he's right. Like, he's not being a baby. He's not being Riley. He's 100% correct in the fact that Cordelia has feelings for Angel and he's noticing it before she is.
Yeah.
She thinks he's Angel. It's all dark. And we get a cliffhanger of her realizing it's him. And then we get so much of Holtz being an old man, fumbling around, writing a note. Angel
and
goes
lots of Connor running. Like he run and he can't figure out how to not run with the cars either. Like it's like he's running with the horses with the cars, except just the horse powers. I don't know what's happening.
Do they have sidewalks in LA?
I guess
I've
not.
never been.
Do they have what?
Sidewalks.
Oh.
Yes.
We don't have them in Alabama, but he's not in Alabama.
They do have them in LA, yes.
But if you're a missing persons fan, you would say walking in LA, nobody walks in LA.
That is also true. I used to, when I would stay at my cousin's house in LA, they were walking distance from Santa Monica Boulevard, WeHo area. And like, it was like, people would be like, you walk? And I would just like walk to get lunch, walk to get food. And yeah, it was nice. Anyway, so they talk a lot. Holtz, you know, they're both like, I love my son. And it's like, great. Cool.
I love my dead gay son.
Yeah, let's like what it reads as. And I'm just like, fucking great.
It's an important scene. It gets a lot of work done. We understand why and how Holtz is making the choice and how, I guess, Justine messes it up for her own reason. Like, it seems like the letter that I could barely listen to wanted Connor to be happy with Angel, and it was his vengeance to Angel that Angel would never get to actually be his real dad. He's just like bio dad, and Holtz is real dad, and Holtz is fine dying like that. I don't understand why Holtz asked Justine to kill him and doesn't just run off into the desert or something. It did seem kind of unclear whether what happened is what Holtz wanted. The letter makes it feel like not. Like, he gives Angel the letter, wants Angel to read the letter. Is that the trick? Because I'm confused. Or is the letter genuine and Justine messes it up by putting 2 holes in his neck? I don't know. I feel like it's not clear.
I think Holtz's goal is to make Angel think that he wants Connor to be happy with him, and to make Connor think that Angel murdered him. Okay. So it's even more painful for Angel when Connor blames him for Holtz's death.
I could buy that. Like, that's one of the options, I do think. Does the show make that clear, or is that just what we think?
I mean, it's very clear that Holtz wants Connor to think that Angel killed him, and that's why he has Justine kill him in the way that she does.
Okay.
And I don't think that letter was ever meant for Connor.
Okay.
I think it was meant for Angel to read.
Said, I didn't seal it. I assume you're going to read it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Where we don't ever actually see Justine and Holt, like, him tell her what he wants her to do. He just says, I just need you to do one more thing. She does stab him the once cutting head real quick to the end. And then he says something like, it's just one more. So, like, he clearly knows she's going to put 2 puncture marks there, right?
Got it. Okay. All right.
I will say, to Kim's point, I just don't understand. Like, I don't think it's told well. Like, I don't think the story is told well because... So, a thing that really bothers me in any show, movie, anything, is when we have a scene that goes on a long time and that character is just a really good actor. Like, I don't like that we do this a lot in shows and movies where it's like, ooh, that person actually knew the whole time. And it's like, okay, but they were like really screaming. They were like really acting. Like, it's just like, it's such a long discussion for him to be bullshitting. Like, your evil plan is to talk him to death, and later on it'll be an issue. But like, that's what you're doing? Like,
and why not just let Angel kill you then?
Yeah.
Because he knows Angel's not going to kill him. He knows that Angel is not the evil being that he has been so stuck on seeing him as. He knows that he needs to continue to manipulate Connor into hating Angel, because that is his ultimate revenge.
But if Angel kills Holtz, then Connor would just hate Angel anyway.
Right, but Holtz knows Holtz knows that Angel isn't going to kill him.
Yeah, it feels a lot like
I love how May's defending the episode after your comments at the beginning.
I know. I don't know why I'm defending the episode. I think I'm more defending the intelligence of Holtz as a character.
Well, I think it works out in his favor either way. If Angel barges in the door and kills him, and then Connor comes and finds him, okay, Angel's killed him, and I can find this letter that says, please move on with, Holtz forgave you. Holtz wanted me to move on with you because he was dying, and this is what you did.
Yeah, I guess we get the information about Holtz's son, which, did we know that before? I forget.
We knew that Angel killed Holtz's whole family.
Yeah.
Okay, so Angel doesn't know that.
We only see the daughter as a vampire, but the whole family.
So it's important that Angel then knows that, I suppose. But we talked so much earlier about, well, they could have done this, they could have done that, they could have extended these interesting scenes. And this is the scene where Angel just goes in and kills them, and then we've got all this time and room where we don't have Connor running through the streets and us zoning out as Holtz reads a letter, where they could have done some other work.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't pay attention much to the letter. I didn't take a single note on it.
Neither did I. I couldn't.
It was mostly just hard. Like, I love you, move on with Angel. He's a good man. Or
go off with your new man. You'll be happy.
Exactly. Go off with your new daddy.
Yeah, like, serious. I can't. I have trouble, again, with this in general, but I don't think the thing about Holtz is, I do think he cared for Connor. I think he's...
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Lost his mind, understandably, because his family was murdered a bajillion years ago. But for me, it's hard to reconcile, okay, but he was lying to Angel. And if he was lying the whole time to Angel, and in death wants to hurt his son, that does not read like someone who remotely cared about this
He doesn't
person.
want to hurt his son. He wants to hurt Angel still.
But it hurts his son, because then he's dead, and his son wants to kill the other dad, and there's no dad.
Right, but he can't see
Angel to be the dad.
Right, he can't see past his own rage, and that's what manipulators do. They manipulate to get what they want, regardless of how it affects anyone else around them. So Connor
even
being
the people
hurt,
they love.
right? Exactly. Connor being hurt by it is just a side effect, and it's not enough to deter him from his plan.
Nor does he necessarily even realize how Connor will be hurt from it. It's probably in his brain, well, Angel's a demon, and a demon's not going to make a good father, and demons are killers, blah, blah, blah.
And the idea then that Connor will seek revenge and Connor will be the one that kills Angel, makes it the vengeance worse on Angel, but also in Holtz's mind probably is like, well, then that frees Connor from having a demon for a father.
Right.
We just don't explore this enough, is the...
Yeah. And I don't know. I am oftentimes very unhinged, very bitter, very petty. I would want to be alive to see my revenge come to play. I wouldn't want to be like, well, stay blessed. Hopefully my plan works, but I'm going to have someone kill me, and we're hoping it works.
Well, he knows Justine will be there to kind of steer Connor as well, but I think
wouldn't trust her. That she can't keep anything together.
She's gonna do anything for him. She already said so. I don't think he had much time left to exact any further plans. Like, I think he was gonna be dead in the next few days anyways.
I'm just saying, as someone who is very petty, and Holtz is very petty, I would be like, tee-hee, pretend I'm dead, but like, I want to be alive because I want to watch Angel be miserable.
You're just going to stand on the roof and watch.
Yeah, like, I want to watch from the balcony while he's with his new daddy. So yeah, I just, like, for me, all of those things don't fully, like, mesh or land, or, I don't know, I'm just like, ugh. And I really, really, again, I really hate if we'd all just talked about it, this wouldn't be a problem, because that's...
What?
And on Angel and Buffy, I will say, even at this point in both shows, we've done this plot of like, someone's been stabbed or like the vampire's holding. It's happened to Angel like 8 times.
Yeah, it happened with Kate.
Yeah,
it happened with Buffy and Joyce.
Yeah, and like, why are we doing this plot line again?
Because it's tried and true, I guess.
Yeah, so Connor comes in while Angel's reading the note. He sees his dad is dead, and Justine tells him the fake story that happened. Favorite outfit, May?
I mean, Lila's look in the club, even though we don't get a great view of it, I can tell she's hot and bothered. She's looking good.
Our hot dom mommy's always looking good.
Yes.
Kim, what was your favorite outfit?
Cordy's outfit. She got that like black, like ruffly thing, like right here, and it's actually like see-through in the sleeves, and she's got a white shirt on underneath, and her makeup looks real early 2000s in the best way. That whole thing, she's fair. Love it.
Colin?
Well, those are the 2 best, so I'm going to give it to Connor's long sleeve under a short sleeve early 2000s look.
I wore that look often.
I didn't say it.
Listen, but for me, it was because of Josh Hartnett and the faculty, because I had that outfit. And I was like, I have that outfit.
Oh my God.
It's gorgeous.
Jen and I went off about that in our faculty episode.
Everyone I had a crush on wore that outfit, including Ian, whom I had a crush on. So
I saw that movie with your stepsister, Jim.
I was you.
Oh, did you see it too? Okay,
I know you, Foreman, Greg, and Jen. Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite outfit, Ian?
Mine is a tie. I do like Cordelia's black top, but Fred wears a top that, Kim, I feel like I've seen you wear.
I like that top too, but Cordy one could, yeah.
And I like it. It's like beigeish pink.
It's got like kind of biggish sleeves.
Yeah, it's like got like a roughly big sleeve. I think that looks really cute on her. I was just happy to see her in something else other than the culottes and Nana shoes and orange tea.
Oh, my culottes.
Yeah, I just... favorite scene, Colin?
It's the club. From the moment like we see Wesley walk in up until they leave, it's just that whole stretch is the best part of the episode, and it's great.
Kim?
Same, except I'm going to include the scene in the alley. I'm stretching it further. Absolutely. The whole thing.
I like the conversation between Lauren and Gru. I think
really
it's...
thought you were going to say Justine.
I really did too. I was like, don't you dare.
We don't even joke about it.
I'm not that much of a brat. No, I really like the scene between Lauren and Gru. I think it's sweet. I think it's heartfelt. I think, like I said, it's a nice expansion of Gru's character that we haven't gotten enough of before we're going to be saying goodbye to him.
Yeah. My favorite is the scene in the alley, because I was like, oh, there is a version of them I like, and it could have been this. But alas. What grade do we give this episode, Kim?
I'm going to give it a C.
Okay.
It passes. It is passing. It's getting us through to the next episode without me turning off the TV. So I'm just gonna give it a C.
Colin?
Oh, I'm giving it a B.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
May?
I mean, in a big improvement from the previous episode, which I think you and Philip and I all gave like somewhere around a D.
So.
I'm going to give this one a C+.
I give it the same grade because it's not a good episode, but it is better than, like you said, May, the episode we gave like a D2. Like some of these clunkers were rough, but this one at least had parts that were like fun.
Y'all made me like it worse though. Like I started at B-, and I
Really?
never give the lowest grade either. Yeah. Y'all I was like, oh, you're right. Oh yeah, you're right. There's no. They really should not know how to. He shouldn't have an American accent. Like yeah. So.
What's funny is I had a C- originally, and y'all talked me up to a C+.
Interesting.
Huh.
See, this is why I love podcasting.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. If you liked Slayerfest 98, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch our video recording on our YouTube channel. Please follow us, subscribe, give us a like, give us a good rating. Appreciate it. If you want to support us, we have a Patreon where I do Zoom hangouts, Zoom watch-alongs. We're covering Buffy Season 4 for its 25th anniversary. And if you like us, you can follow us on social at SlayerFestX98 on all social media platforms, especially Blue Sky, because we just joined. All of us have just joined. Actually, I didn't just join. I joined it like last year, but then never.
Been there for a year and a half.
But yeah, Blue Sky, I'm trying to post more there, trying to build a following. Same thing at SlayerFestX98. I wish they would get rid of the .blue sky dots. Like I don't.
There's a whole thing.
Yeah, I know there's a reason.
But you can just search for the username as well. So like you don't have to type in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Did you drop the Patreon info?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to follow me on all social media platforms, including Blue Sky, I am at Ian X Carlos. I keep a consistent brand at least. May, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky at EversonPoe. That's EversonPoe. You can find my music on Bandcamp and streaming services under the name Everson Poe, 2 separate words. You can hear me every week on the Lady Killers, a Feminine Rage podcast. You can hear me over on Tender Subject with Kate Terry talking about body horror and cannibalism. Our episode on The Substance dropped recently, and we had so much fun with that one.
Oh, Zach and I are recording for that tonight.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to hear your thoughts as well.
Which, if y'all should subscribe to My Bloody Judy, Zach and I's horror podcast, it's back. It's back, baby.
Yay!
Colin, where can everyone find you?
I'm on all the various socials at csmith03.
And Kim?
You can go to my website, KimberlyAndSouthwick.com, for like poetry stuff. And then I'm on Blue Sky at Kim and Joe South. I'm going to spell it because May spelled hers. KIMANNJOSOUTH. Kim and Joe South. Please follow me on Blue Sky.
Poetry stuff. Don't diminish your talents, Kim. You're amazing.
Not necessarily this crowd's thing, you know, like.
Hey, I told you I've had people say they bought your poetry book because I heard you on the podcast.
Thank you, all those people who are listening. I love you.
But yeah, this was fun. Thanks. And we'll see you next time for this season finale of Angel. Bye.
Bye.